Hello and welcome to the Brass Junkies. I'm your host, Andrew Hitz, and I am joined by the always inquisitive and never content Lance LaDuke. And I meant that as a compliment, and then the way I said it, it was not a compliment. Never content. He's always low-key miserable, and his name is Lance LaDuke. Lance, how are you?
I'm trying to decide what to be miserable about today. I'm very curious about it.
I was like always inquisitive, and I was being genuine, never content with what he knows, always learning, a sponge that's not full. But then I just said, and he's never content. That was funny. We are joined today for his second appearance by Joe Alessi. We were reminiscing about his first appearance where we had technical issues. It's our most listened to episode ever. It's every fourth word of his you can't really make out, and he was standing by elevators at this hotel in Vail when the New York Phil was on tour there. This one was a little bit more.
It's over 6 years ago. It's crazy too.
It's crazy. Long time ago. Yeah, it's always so wonderful. We had him as a guest at our trombone workshop, and he's wonderful. So yeah, really good stuff.
Well, and his new endeavor where he's just putting all of his stuff up it's a gift, man. It's really, and it's cheap.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of shocking.
As I told him, as you were about to hear, I told him I belong. I'm a member. It's really cool. The warm up stuff is great. It's it's very cool. It's not just for trombone players. So I love playing in octaves with him on the recording. So guess what, Lance? We've got this.
I just don't know.
We've got the Brass Career Intensive is October 9th and 10th. It's all about making a living as a brass player. It's featuring Chris Bill, trombone, YouTube and TikTok superstar. He's going to actually analyze the YouTube and I think a number of social networks, but he's going to analyze accounts and talk about how they can be improved and how they can be optimized. And it's going to be in real time. And so it's going to be a few participants that we are going to select. And so, come join us. It's going to be awesome sessions.
All right, I will.
Lance is doing a number of sessions. Mary Bowden, Chanel Critchlow, Jeff Connor of Boston Brass. It's going to be really great. So come and join us. BrassCareerIntensive.com. That is on sale through October 1st. It's also going to be available to stream for the foreseeable future. So if you can't make it live, come join us. But that is it's $20 off through October 1st. So come sign up. And also want to thank Parker Mouthpieces for providing the hosting for the Brass Junkies. Parker Mouthpieces offers fine, customizable component mouthpieces for horn, trombone, euphonium, and tuba, including the Andrew Hitz Artist Model Tuba mouthpiece and the Lance LaDuke Model Euphonium mouthpiece.
Woot.
Find out more at parkermouthpieces.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Usually when you get to that point, you go, yeah, or something loud. And so I was bracing. Woot. Yeah. And I tensed up for no reason. Last thing before we get to our conversation with Joe is that if you want to become a Patreon patron, you can hear the bonus episode that we just recorded with Joe. We asked him a question from our Patreon patron, Dan Morris, and Dan actually asked all three of us, what is our process for getting our brains into a practice session within the first 10 minutes? And Joe's answer was awesome. It's really good stuff. But if you become a Patreon patron today, you get access to a whole bunch of bonus content, including bonus episodes with every single guest dating back now to I think it's 70 episodes or something like that. It's 60 episodes. There's a lot of people that are on there. And and we occasionally ask questions from Patreon patrons. So go ahead and find that at patreon.com/thebrassjunkies and join I don't know what the number is these days. It's well over 100 people who are Patreon patrons there. Without further ado, let us get to the conversation that we had with the principal trombone of the New York Philharmonic, Joe Alessi.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more content by the Brass Junkies, just click on the like and subscribe button. You'll have an opportunity to see some of the greatest brass players in the world, and Andrew and me.
And today on the Brass Junkies, we
have arguably the greatest trombone player in the world, but that's just because Lance doesn't play the trombone anymore because he used to double, but he's just a euphonium and ukulele guy now. So Joe moved up from the number 2 world ranking to number 1. His name is Joe Alessi. Joe, how are you?
Good. I'm doing great. Thank you.
It sounded like you were like, I should say good, but it seemed like you were kind of checking, like, am I good? Yeah, we'll have to see.
Well, I'm feeling good for a lot of reasons today.
And let's just, so we were supposed to do this interview originally 2 weeks ago when the Red Sox were tanking and the Yankees had gained massive ground on them, and I was dreading it. And then we had like internet issues, and so we then rescheduled for a week ago when the Yankees had lost 7 in a row and the Red Sox were streaking, and Joe was probably not looking forward to that. And then it got moved to today, which is the morning after the Yankees just swept the Red Sox at Fenway and are now in the lead for the number 1 wildcard spot. And so now I'm not happy that we're talking. So it's why do we follow baseball, Joe? I think that's the question. Well, I know why you do this morning. This morning, I don't really know why I do anymore.
Well, this time of year, I just listen. If it's a Yankees Red Sox this time of year and it's in contention, everybody has to watch it. I mean, just non-Yankee fans, non-Red Sox fans. It's just the fall classic. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I would use other words this morning than unbelievable, but anyway, moving right along.
How about those Pirates?
Yeah, well, the Pirates actually shut out the Phillies yesterday, which was pretty funny. They're the Phillies have been like kind of contending for the whole season, but not really, and then. Yeah, they are. They never failed. The Philadelphia Phillies never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. So anyway, enough baseball. I just had to get that. I had to let you have your moment there. How are you? Like, we're kind of like coming out. Our poor corner of the world is kind of coming out of this thing a little bit, but kind of getting back to work. So where are you at, like personally and professionally?
Okay, well, personally, I'm going to be a grandfather.
Hey,
that's fantastic! Congratulations,
Grandpa Joe. That's going to be the title of my next CD.
That's awesome.
And let's see,
Joe.
That's awesome.
What else? Just coming off vacation up in Canada, so I was up there and did some nice bike rides. I'm into bike riding. I obviously had trouble getting back. I didn't for our last meeting I was on the ride, and anyway it didn't work out timing wise, but that was a 54-mile ride on my birthday, and I burned a lot of calories. But I like getting out on these long rides. Really clears out my head, and we have the Empire State Bike Trail that was completed a couple of years ago, so that could take us from New York City all the way to Buffalo or Plattsburgh. So at Albany, You can go two different ways. Wow. So one of my goals is to bike to Buffalo, and I can do 60 miles a day. That's not a problem. And if you did that, it would take about a week, and then my wife would pick me up, or pick me and my I hope me and my friend, and we'd go from there, up to Canada. And hang out there. So anyway, yeah, that I did that. What else? Just we're ramping up our work at the Philharmonic. So we'll be doing a Brahms one with Simone Young, who's a terrific conductor, and she could be a candidate, I imagine, for our new music director post, since Jaap van Zweden just announced he's not breaking his contract, but shortening his contract with the Philharmonic.
Yeah, was a surprise, right?
Yeah. Although one day he did tell me, we were getting ready to board a plane on a tour, and he said, I don't know how much longer I want to do this. So I don't know if it's. I know he had some physical issues there. So anyway, that's a change. And then, our new concert hall is being renovated, and that's going very well. And Great. So we'll be opening up the hall exactly a year from now.
Wow, that's exciting.
Grand opening.
And then overdue.
yeah, and they better get it right this time, because this is what, the fourth time or whatever. But I really think it's going to go really well because it's smaller. That was the whole. It's a smaller. They're going from 2,800 seats to maybe 2,200 seats, something like that, or even less than that, maybe. But it's going to look. It's going to look more oval.
Okay.
Seating behind the orchestra.
Great.
So it's going to dramatic change.
Wow. I was wondering maybe those 600 seats if they just made like a dancing area or something, so you could.
Well, yeah, they could, but let's see. I'm trying to think what else is new and interesting. Yeah, I'll be going back to. I'm going to Portugal in May to do more Chick Corea performances, and then Japan in next summer.
Wow.
To do that, and then May 22nd of 2023 is the New York performances.
I will be there. Yeah, I'll be there.
And Juilliard started up, so we're doing fine there. The class is very, very good. One of the students came down with COVID the other day, and he didn't know he had it. But he's doubly vaccinated. So he suspected he knew he was in danger because he was with people who were diagnosed with it. And so halfway through the lesson, I would go over to the stand and he would move away from me. I said, well, what's the problem? And it says, well, he told me the story. Okay. So I changed my my techniques in that lesson very quickly. But anyway, I got my test yesterday. I'm negative. So, so you got to be careful. But you know what? But I did call my doctor and I asked him, I said, what happens in a case like this? He said, well, as long as you don't have any symptoms, you can go about your business and, you can teach, you can do anything you want. You just have to just distance yourself, And so I didn't know that. So if you suspect you've been exposed, obviously you should get a test for, but you should, you don't have to stop doing what you're doing as long as you don't show any symptoms.
There you go.
Yeah.
How is Juilliard dealing with it all? I mean, do you have,
they're all, everybody's all doubly vaccinated. So, that student was doubly vaccinated. But as you know, you can still get the infection, but he had no symptoms either, so yeah. So we're back wearing, you have to wear a mask, of course. But when you play, you don't have to wear a mask, and the flap thing. If you suspect, they say you have to use bell covers, but I don't see anybody doing that. So anyway, I remember Phil Smith said, hey, these bell covers, all you have to do is put a hair wig thing on your bell. Okay. And that's what that is, that really thin nylon,
like a
hairnet.
All right. Okay.
And it looks like it.
So the wig would be better.
Yeah. Been a wig.
The wig.
Well, hairnet.
Like a
yeah.
No, come on. Let's stick with wig.
Anyway, that kind of, it looks like, it's a very light material. It doesn't mess up your playing and suffices for certain reasons.
We make fun of trumpet players a lot, but they one of them at one point figured out, like, what we need to use as a mute, like a Crown Royal bag, right? So that gave them all cover to buy like bottles of Crown Royal, and then the hair. They are resourceful people.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But I'd rather hang out with low brass players.
Yeah, well, I mean that goes without saying. Yeah. Even Red Sox fan low brass players, you'd rather hang out with than trumpet players. I mean, there's kind of a big gap there in between. So, go ahead, Lance.
So how long have you been doing the bicycle thing? Was that a COVID thing, or
Well,
you've been doing this all along?
I was a runner, and I was running with, I was doing okay with that. I was running with Stefan Dor up in Charlevoix, Quebec, for the what do they call it up there? And then there's a Domaine Forget, it's called, and we were teaching there together. So we went for a run, and anyway, I ended up. We were on this railroad trestle. We had to cross over a small body of water, and there wasn't any train coming. So, but so anyway, but we had to get back down to the beach area next to the lake, and there was this kind of anyway. I jumped off this ledge, and I shouldn't have, and I landed on my knee very badly.
Ooh.
And I had to get knee surgery, and basically running was is not happening for a long time, and unless I get another knee surgery. So let's put it that way. I have to find a different knee doctor and see if that can work out. But hey,
how many years ago was that?
Oh, that was about 3 years ago. Yeah. So anyway, I just got into walking and cycling, and that's keeping me going. I enjoy the cycling. I don't even mind getting out there when it's a little chilly,
Can you imagine if this is dark, but can you imagine if a train had taken out both Joe Alessi and Stefan Dor at the same time? That would have totally sounded like an internet hoax. That everybody's no, really, they're gone. Yeah, they were running on a train trestle in Quebec.
The stupid conductor.
Yeah, right. Stupid conductor. There, very good.
Yeah, thank you.
That's pretty good. That's so cool that you've gotten into cycling. Rex Martin, my former teacher, and I almost said former teacher and mentor. He's my former mentor. He really disappoints me now, but no, my former teacher, and mentor, current mentor. He's like way into cycling,
Yes, I know that.
And he lives in Switzerland,
he teaches where my brother teaches at the Baron Conservatoire.
I didn't know that your brother taught there. I didn't know where he taught.
Yeah. He just started a couple of years ago.
Yes, he did.
But he's my brother. He's not a cycler, but first of all, the jazz department and the classical department, the dwellings where they teach, they're like miles away. So different ends of town. So they unfortunately don't see each other. But yeah, I'm in touch with Rex a little bit.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And my father used to be way into cycling. He used to do a ride from it's his. He pays the property taxes. His summer house in the Berkshires. He would ride 8 miles south to Connecticut, and then would go up to somewhere where he'd take a left and then go to the New York border and then go back and then go up to the Vermont border and then come back. So he would hit 4 states, and it was like a 110-mile ride or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He used to be way in. So he's 80 now. Hi, Dad. So yeah, he's not doing. If he's doing 4 states, it's in a car and there's a few breaks. But yeah, he used to be and there's lots of hills there. It was very impressive.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep. So let's talk about the Alessi Music Studios, because this is something what an incredible resource for people. First, tell us what it is, and then maybe how it came about.
Yeah, and if you let me share my screen, I could show you around a little bit as well.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Fancy.
But
what could possibly go wrong?
No, nothing.
This is a Yankees logo. I'm knocking my computer off my desk.
Well,
it came. Please do it, Joe.
Yeah, my front page is a Yankee logo.
I'm not surprised.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so it came about mainly to teach excerpts, and my way of presenting it. But I found that a lot of students and even professionals were practicing these excerpts and didn't really know what was going on in the music, as they played. And so either they didn't understand like the beginning of the piece. For instance, let's say Hungarian march. It starts, and that's how you find the tempo. So you were getting these wide fluctuations in tempi, and you could just tell that students were only practicing they were only learning the piece from letter A to B, and that's all they knew about it.
Sure.
So I decided, and my friend Stan Adams, so we were jogging one morning in near the Milan airport before my flight, and
you almost got killed by a train.
No, but we almost got killed by a wild boar. Actually, yes, we almost got. Yeah, that's true. And we were running early in the morning, and we heard this rustling in the woods, and we said, what is that? And so we stopped. It was like 4 or 5 in the morning. It was dark out. It was spooky, and so we stopped jogging, and then the rustling stopped. Okay. And then we kept going. So, okay, let's keep going. And then as soon as we started, the rustling started up again and got closer to us. And finally, I just yelled, I said, who the hell is that?
Show yourself.
Well, I was speaking the wrong language. I should have said in Italian. But, they were Italian. Anyway, so I got back to the hotel, and I asked the hotel owner, I said, what was that? So, well, that was wild boar. And they're around here, and so they were probably in a pack, and it's good you got the hell out of there, because they have the young chitlins there, or whatever, they're young wild boar, and their family, and they were protecting the family. So if you get too close, they will attack. Anyway, so on the run, we were talking about this, and Stan lives in Rome. He's been there for years. He just retired from one of the Rye orchestras there, and he said, "I want to help you with this." So we got the idea. Hey, let's make a website, and we'll start out with lots of excerpts, but we will make some tracks that you can practice along with. Okay, and we're going to give you all the music that leads into it and all the music that leads out of it, so that you understand what's happening with that. And anyway, so we did that, and then we said, okay, let's expand it. I'll do some videos. I'll put my warm-ups up there. You can practice along with me with warm-ups interactively. And so anyway, it's growing. I have a lot of other ideas and things I want to put on there. And also, when you get to be my age, and a lot of people write a book, and I thought about that, but this is actually a better way, because I put my thoughts down as they come, and when you write a book and 30 years later, or you say something, you said, God, did I really say that? Or maybe your viewpoints have changed. So that's this way, when I do add material on there, I can amend it, I can change it, I can add to it, and it's very current in the way that I'm thinking. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep doing this for as long as I can do it, and add as much material on there as I possibly can, and see what comes out at the end. So
that's cool.
Right now we have about 1,000 subscribers. Okay,
I'm one of them.
Are you?
I am.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here I'll just give you a quick tour. I mean, I'm not going to bore you with everything here. So just here we go. There's the front page. So, and it has current events, things that I've been doing. This is all the material here that you can play with if you want to play, the Sansón Cavatin, and you have two different tempi. We can do the Albrechtsberger. You can play the Saxa. So the Saxa, I'm going to record the alto version. That's one of my projects coming up. So not only can I add all this text to it, but I can actually sit here and record in the studio now that I know how to do this. Okay, so we going down, we got the warm up here. We got my, video tutorials. If we click on that, it shows you all the categories and things that that I've discussed. Auditions. Right now I'm recording all the Marco Bordogni etudes, so I'm going to release a set of 5 coming out here soon. Breathing and blowing, buzzing. You got all these different categories, and if we just click on one like here, this video comes up and my thoughts on that. So anyway, we'll go back here and going back, just continuing. My thoughts on here's recordings, excerpts that I've recorded. Then we've coined this thing, orchestra machine. Okay, that's if you want to play along with orchestral accompaniments, you can do that. I did a whole special thing on the Arbon's book, since I studied that extensively. If you want to play duets with me, you can do that. Music for trombone and piano, and we keep going. We got drones. We got all kinds of Ask Joe questions. I put a lot of older recordings of me playing. And we have a monthly webinar, that we do, which is great. So if you click on that, it's all archived. So here's all our webinars we do once a month. And that's it. It's kind of a passion, I'm very happy with how it's turned out. And it keeps, during the pandemic, I had to create, I said, what am I going to do? I'm going to sit around and just rot away and to figure out something to do, so, and I just said, let's get back into recording. I used to do a lot of recording when I was younger, and I want to get back into it, but let's upgrade everything. And then it worked out perfectly, because I was able to do a few little YouTube projects and release some things, which was interesting. But then it just tied perfectly into this Alessi Music Studios.
How big is the team to keep this thing rocking and rolling?
Just 2.
Is it just you?
Me and Stan. Stan does a lot,
So he does the coding stuff, the layout and all that stuff.
Well, we have a webmaster, Bert Mason. I don't know if you know Bert, but he takes care of all my sites. So Bert steps in when something goes wrong. It's like if there was an outage or something, and that happened the other day. But Stan knows how to add all the material. Okay, so there's a template so that people like him and I could do that. But he does that. He knows a lot more about that than I do. But I now can edit and do all the video and stuff here. But he'll format the video and get it ready for the site. So yeah, we're good.
That's so
yeah, we're a good team.
It's great.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to pause for a moment to thank the wonderful folks at the Mary Papert School at Duquesne University in beautiful and sunny Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is actually both today, which is write it down. So if you click on the link in the show notes below, you'll be taken to the Duquesne University website, specifically the Mary Papert School, and you can see all the wonderful folks who teach in the brass area and the opportunities that you have to perform in the ensembles there. So we want to encourage you to do so and to thank them for being such a faithful sponsor. And very special thanks to Jim. I mean it from the bottom of my heart with no ounce of sarcasm at all, Nova, for making it possible.
Joe, do you and Jim still have that beef going, or were you guys able to bury the hatchet, or where's that at?
Regarding what subject?
Probably cars.
Which one? Which beef?
Yeah. No. He likes cars. I like cars. Yeah, we probably should get on a track and settle it someday.
Oh man!
You mean like a game of chicken, or like you and Dor with that train, or are we talking like racing?
Racing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I'd pay to watch that.
Yeah. But
we totally need to sponsor an event between the two of them. Like that would be great. I'd love it. I'd love it. We would need to, of course, rig it that Joe won, just so that we could then like really rib Jim afterwards, but maybe we don't need to rig it. Maybe Joe can just win on his own. So, and then they could have a cycling race. And right,
man.
yep.
Then we'll settle that. Yeah,
like
yeah.
we need to rent a velodrome.
I remember when we did that Trombones Under the Tree recording, and it was in the middle of summer, and we took the photo for it at some lodge or something in Indiana, and it was 90 degrees out, and so we had to dress up in sweaters and everything, but on the break we had lunch, and there was a go-kart thing right there, a go-kart racing thing, and so D Stewart oh, we gotta go-kart racing. And so me, Mark Lawrence, and Carl Lenthy, and D, we all went out go-kart racing, and D was a maniac out there. He's kind of a mild-mannered guy, but he was out for blood, man. And yeah, so yeah, anyway,
I'm writing in the show notes why you don't want to go go-kart racing with D Stewart. That's
exactly.
Exactly. That's funny. So we want to talk to you about the whole Chick Corea thing. What the fact that he wrote you a concerto, and then the fact that it got delayed because of COVID, and then that he tragically passed, but that it's still, the art is still here. There's just so much to talk to you about. First, how did it come about that Chick Corea wrote you a piece? And may I say, that's like the coolest thing that I've ever heard in my entire life.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. I never imagined myself in a million years, getting to know Chick Corea or getting to meet him, but also performing his concerto. That never, just wasn't thinking about that until let me go back in time and just say that there were attempts to engage other notable composers to write a concerto for me, and at the Philharmonic. So John Harbison, do you know that name?
Of course.
Yeah, he had said yes. I was very pleased with that. And so he was all set to do it. And so maybe 6 months or a year went by, and I said, gee, I haven't seen any music from John. And so the next thing I hear is he didn't have time to do it, which was really disappointing. He got involved with his opera, which was being premiered at the Met. And he did call me, and he apologized profusely. So anyway, that was just one of those things, but then I did, I asked a lot of composers. I talked to John Williams, and you think that would be a slam dunk, because he did the tuba, the horn, and the trumpet. Why not put trombone in there? So, but you know what? He just didn't know what he would write for trombone. And that, that was a similar comment from John Corigliano. He did this, our instrument, the trombone, they just don't, sometimes they don't know what to do with it, or how they would write for it. So other people have asked John Williams, but it never happened. So anyway, and I went on to Wynton Marsalis. Wynton was interested, but he was very busy. And so timing is everything, because now Wynton's writing the tuba concerto for Carol. Right. So, but I kept trying. And then one day, Makoto Ozone invited me and Alan Gilbert down to the Blue Note, I believe it was. And Gary Burton was on his last concert tour and playing with Makoto Ozone, the great Japanese pianist. So I was sitting there enjoying the set, and they called up the tune Brasilia by Chick Corea, and just something came over me. I said, God, this is so beautiful, this piece. I would just love to ask him, just based on that beautiful tune. And so how was I going to ask him? I went up to Makoto after the set, and I asked him, is there any way that, I told Makoto, I said, I loved Brasilia. It just inspired me so much, which it did. And is there any way that Chick Corea would write a trombone concerto or write something? And he said, well, let me text him. So the next day he texted him, and lo and behold, I think a couple of days later, I got a text from Chick Corea. Said, I'd like to talk to you about this, and I had, from there were probably 100 texts between us, leading up to his decision to write the piece.
Wow.
And I even got his last text, before he passed away, which is, so I need to print out all those texts and make sure they're preserved. I get it, because if you lose your phone or something, sometimes you can lose these things. So matter of fact, right after I get off this session, I'm going to do that, because I need to get all those printed up, documented. So anyway, he was a little reluctant to work with an orchestra because he had some strange experiences in the past, mainly with the musicians not willing to try things or maybe not enough rehearsal time. And so I assured him that the Philharmonic, we learn things very fast. They take it very seriously. And so that prompted him to take a trip to New York. And this was right around the time he decided that he would write it. And he met a lot of our musicians. He met the management. The management had set up a whole week with Chick Corea, opening up this past season, I believe, that we just, so the 2021 season, he was going to play Mozart piano concerto. He was going to, do some young people's concerts. It was a big collaboration. And anyway, so after he agreed to write it, he invited me down to Florida at his home in Clearwater. And we started out he said, well, let's play Brasilia together. So we did. So he gave me the chart and I played it, and he played the piano. And then from there, we talked about what I like, what kind of things I like to see in the concerto. And we talked about range. I demonstrated some things. I demonstrated some, technical stuff to him. And then we improvised together, which is, I had the chutzpah enough to do that in front of him. But awesome. Anyway, and that element made it into the concerto, where you start the piece and you it just says improvise. So, you just free improvisation at the beginning of the chart. And so I could show you that a little bit from the performance, but anyway, that made it in there. And there was another section that you have to improvise as well. So anyway, the way he wanted to do this, he wanted to have a modular piece. Okay. So we're 5 sections, and you could play any module in any order that you want. You could do it as a standalone. You could, so there are 5 separate pieces. Now, the only problem with that is that every one of them ended in a kind of a mellow way. Okay. So I wanted a big finish to the piece. Okay. So, and I had to, it was the hardest phone call I've ever made in my life, but I had the courage, I had to get up the courage to talk to Chick and ask him if he would write, change or add to the last module or last movement, and make a big finish. And so there was a big pause on the other line on the phone, and he says, well, why do you want to do that? And so, and that movement was called Joe's Tango, or Tango for Joe. So, and so I explained to him, about when you do a tango with a partner, it's a pretty passionate kind of thing, but also it's you're trying to win, you're trying to impress your partner, and with your dancing technique and so forth. And at the end of that, you hope that you will win over the respect and love or admiration of your partner, and you're victorious, you know. And so I explained that, and he said, okay, I got it. And so he was very gracious. He made basically a coda, which is great, and that's what ended up in the score. And actually, it worked out great, because when I went to Brazil a couple months ago to do the premiere, I knew that they were going to ask for an encore. Okay, a lot of times, and if you go to a foreign country, encores are sort of traditional, you know, and so that's exactly what happened. And I was trying to figure out, you know, on the plane ride over there, what am I going to do as an encore, you know, and there's nothing else you can do except music of Chick Corea, you know, you can't do anything else. So I said, you know what, just do the coda, just do that again. And that's what happened. So, so I'm really happy it ends in a big way, you know. And what else can I tell you? You know, you never know if something can happen unless you ask for it. You know, and they interviewed Bella Fleck. Do you know Bella?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I wish I knew him, but yeah, huge fan of his. Seen him probably a dozen times.
Yeah. Somebody sent me the interview on NPR, and it was Jim Nova sent it to me.
Who?
Yeah, who exactly? Yeah, and so you know, Chick talked about Bella Flick a lot, because when, you know, we had meals together, and he talked about it, loved Bella Fleck. So anyway, but in the interview, Bella was a huge admirer of Chick Corea, but he just, you know, one day he decided to send Chick Corea just, you know, his latest CD, and he you know, he wasn't sure if he should send it or not. And so out of that, from that CD that was sent, came a huge performing relationship just from that. You know, so he, you know, so just that little incident led to all of that collaboration with the two of them. And so anyway, you know, if I didn't ask Makoto, or at that time, or I said, nah, I don't, you know, sometimes you have to shoot really big, and a lot of people will say no, or it's not going to happen. But, you know, timing is everything. So.
Yeah, speaking of that, Chick Corea texted me about possibly writing a tuba concerto, but I was just really busy at the time. So I was like, I don't know if this is going to work right now. So, yeah, timing is everything.
Timing is everything. Yes, yes.
That's such a great message that even, especially coming from someone like you, where I think that we can all just assume that, like, any door that you know, that Joe Alessi tries to open is going to be opened. But as you said, timing is just, you know, like, yes, I'll do it, and then there's no follow through, or sure, I'd love to, but I don't know what to say in this concerto. And then if you try to open enough doors, then eventually one that's really cool is going to open, and that's exactly what happened. And I'm glad those others said no, so that you ended up with the Chick Corea, which I still haven't heard, but I'm so looking forward to. I was you know, already coming up to New York for that premiere, you know, that obviously got canceled due to COVID. I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait.
Yeah, and you know, what was I going to say? Yeah, I'm very pleased with it. The orchestra played very well. I don't know if you know Giancarlo Guerrero. He was the conductor, and he did a very nice job. Ironically, when I listened to that tune Brasilia, we ended up doing the premiere in Brazil, which is
right,
kind of a coincidence. But so yeah, the Philharmonic premiere has been rescheduled for May of 23.
Right.
And anyway, it was the performance on YouTube. That's the second performance. There was one more performance, which so each one just went better and better, I thought. And John Dixon, who was Chick's arranger and also a fantastic horn player, played on a lot of you know, scores and so forth of Chick's. He was the orchestrator, and so he did a wonderful job. And John and I are really good buddies after all of this. And anyway, it's so sad that Chick is not around, to have witnessed the premiere.
Yeah.
And, he was really looking forward to that. He wanted to travel to New York or to Brazil or whatever to be there. So.
Yeah, my first thought when I saw that he passed was that was just like that, because it had already been done, which is a much happier ending than 3 weeks into it that he then passed away. That we do have the piece, but just I knew that the two of you had become close and had worked so much, and it's a shame that he didn't get to see it performed. But it's pretty awesome that, not that he needed any more of a legacy to leave behind, because my goodness, he's left behind 100 legacies. But the fact that piece exists is awesome. Yeah, I didn't even know it was on YouTube. I'm going to listen to that later today. That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I just put it in my watch.
Yeah. Yeah. What about Houchin Horns, Lance?
What about Houchin Horns? I was meaning to tell you, Andrew, that what was it? Oh, Houchin Horns aims to spread the joy of music through providing the highest level of products, services, and resources to the brass playing community. You won't believe it, but there's free domestic, depends on what you want to do, shipping on all new items, but not sheet music, and free domestic returns on new instruments and mouthpieces when you order online at houchinhorns.com. There's a 15-day money-back guarantee with free shipping on all new instruments and accessories with multiple easy financing options on all inventory. Terms and conditions apply. You can browse the extensive news and resources page on houchinhorns.com for great pedagogical info, articles, interviews, videos, and events. You can watch over 200 unique videos on Houchin Horns' YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/HouchinHorns. And if you enter the promo code Junkies at online checkout, you will receive 10% off your purchase from houchinhorns.com. Some limitations apply. Thank you to Houchin Horns for being a sponsor of the Brass Junkies. And now back to you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Bravo. Yeah, that's great.
Now I'm hoping that he doesn't do the the international compared to us tradition of encoring with a little bit more of what he just did. It'd be funny if he just read the last 30 seconds of the spot again. So Joe, we talked about this the last time that you were on. By the way, that was early on, and you were in Aspen. Yep, and you remember. I don't know if you remember. You had a bad connection, and
I was in Vail. Yeah.
Vail, yes,
yeah,
Vail,
right.
yes. And you had a bad connection, so you were actually by the elevators, because you had a stronger Wi-Fi, and there were there's people walking by who there's some rando on a laptop, sounds like who's talking a lot, and it's they don't know that it's Joe Alessi being interviewed on a world famous podcast. So. But we talked about this a little bit on the last podcast about when Trey Anastasio Fish played with the New York Philharmonic. Well, there is there was a 4-part podcast called Alive Again, which was put out by Osiris Media about a month or two ago, and this was all about Trey's solo career away from the band. And I was imagine my delight when I heard this clip that I'm about to play for you right now.
So we're going in to play with the New York Philharmonic at Carnegie Hall. They have the greatest trombone player on earth, Joe Alessi. He's like a god of trombone. We knew that. So it's we've got to give Joe Alessi a moment. He's sitting over there. We're on stage with this guy. He's the best trombone player in the world. So we gave him
he's sitting there doing nothing.
Of you drum. He had lots of moments throughout the night, but he had one special moment where we were can you make the trombone sound boy, man, watch your feet. Like he kind of stood up. It sounds funny, but he ate it for breakfast and brought the house down. I was really glad that worked.
I just played one gliss.
Yeah, right.
That's all I did. Yeah, he's sitting there. Yeah, he's sitting there doing nothing. Let's let's do something. Get him to do something.
He's dozing off. Have him stand up.
Right.
If you remember when you introduced me to him at the break of the rehearsal, and
I mean, I had to introduce
well,
you to it. Okay. Otherwise,
I mean, I never would have spoken to you again if you hadn't, but it was it was your choice. And but if you remember, I then said to Trey, I said, that's the best trombone player in the world. And then Trey said, I know, we come to the symphony. My wife and I come to the symphony all the time. Like, so we're very familiar with his work. And you hadn't actually played the solo yet, and it was more than one gliss. But I thought that was pretty cool that he was singing. It was like my worlds colliding when Trey is like waxing poetic about my good friend on like this Fish podcast.
wow. Well, that's very nice of him to say that. And that was one of the best concerts I thought of my career there, because we was in Carnegie Hall, and first of all, it was packed. The concert was packed, and it was this different energy that from the audience. So it wasn't your typical classical lover audience coming to a concert. It was this Trey Anastasio crowd. And man, they just ate it up, and that energy. I don't know why we wouldn't do that kind of concert again. Okay, because it was so successful. Anyway, I would love to, see Trey and work with him again at any time. So it would be great.
What we need to do, which you're on board with, is we need to get an orchestral brass section of like the best players in the entire country, and like have Don Hart, his arranger, who's a dear friend of mine, arrange like a whole like Trey with orchestral brass, which would be incredible. So
wow.
You get Carnegie Hall, I'll call Don, and then we'll if you line up Carnegie Hall and then I have Don just actually do the charts, like Trey's a really nice human. He'll feel guilty enough that he's going to have to say yes at that point. I mean, if we actually have a date. So
we can rent Carnegie Hall, no problem.
There we go. Done. All right.
Yeah,
Well, see, look at this. We're like the 2-person team that you've got there for Alessi Music Studios. We're just getting it done, Joe.
Yeah.
Lance, I just want you to just keep doing what you're doing. I think.
Oh, have no question. That is exactly what I will be doing.
I think that you're doing a really, really great job, Lance. So lastly, Joe, what's next for you? Like, what do you have on the horizon that you're looking forward to other than this interview ending?
Yes, I'm going to be working on the Alessi Music Studios and continue doing that. More performances with the Chick Corea trombone concerto. I'm hoping to record it someday. That would be great. Official recording. And like you said, and like I said before, I'm going to be a grandpa. So you know what? Life is complete. I don't have any huge plans right now. I'm going to work on my jazz chops, try to get that happening. And, I work with a couple teachers. So at this point, I'm very pleased with how life is going. I don't need to run out and do a bunch of things. So, I'm sure something will come up, where, one thing leads to another in the music world, so it's really amazing. You don't see it. You can't see it where it's going to end up. And then it something will happen, all of a sudden, and said, wow, how did I get here? How did this all happen? And then you have to think back. Oh, I met that person, and that person led me to this, etc. So, I'm sure something interesting will happen. But I love teaching at Juilliard. I love my students there. We're doing a couple trombone choir performances. Oh, I'll be at the Midwest Band Clinic.
Cool.
I know you guys have been there many times. So I'll be premiering a piece by Philip Spark, and with the group. And
cool.
And that's about it.
Great. Do you ever?
Well, that's plenty.
Yeah, right. Do you ever pinch yourself, like when you think about like this incredible run that you've been on for so many years? It's well earned. I've seen it firsthand. You work your ass off like every day. But do you ever pinch yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't believe that looking back and how it all started and where it's gone, and all the conductors that music directors and fantastic students that I'm still in touch with. I do pinch myself because I'm very lucky, very fortunate to have this career, and it's not over. I'm going to keep going, and I'll be, I'm not going to play in the orchestra forever, but right now I want to play in the new hall, and maybe even see who the new next music director is. We'll see.
Right.
We'll see about that.
I have a feeling there will be a few people who will be interested in taking the audition whenever you decide to hang it up. It's just a hunch.
Well, most likely, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Who was it? There's some one of the older tuba players. I can't remember who it was, but somebody who said they don't like to keep going to the tuba conference because he would always get a bunch of questions like, you're still teaching, huh? Like people poking around, basically when are you retire? You're old. When are you retiring? Yeah, right, which is kind of funny. So I doubt too many people would have the stones to say to you, Joe, like, hey, you're getting old. When are you retiring? So yeah, you probably have to tread lightly there.
I'd like to see them try that question. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's the perfect note to end on, unless you've got anything else, Lance. No. So thank you, Joe. This was awesome. As always, it's always a pleasure to get to chat with you. I wish it was not the morning after the Red Sox were swept at home in September by the Yankees, but hey, I guess things happen for a reason. I'm not clear of why that reason is yet, but I guess give me the rest of the day. We are going to have Joe hang out for the bonus episode here. If you are a Patreon patron, then you can head to your feed and listen to that. We've actually got a really good question for you for the bonus episode from Dan Morris, who's a trombone player, who's a Patreon patron. We're going to start with the question. He wanted to hear from all three of us what our process is for getting our brains into a practice session in the first 10 minutes, which I thought was kind of a cool and specific question. So we're going to talk about that in the bonus episode and any other hijinks that comes up. And you can find out more about that at patreon.com/thebrassjunkies. And you can get bonus episodes with Carol Yonch and Mark Gould and Sam Palafi and there's a long list of people. So thank you, Joe. Thank you, Lance. As always, you look. Thank you for getting dressed up for us. You look great. And that is going to do it for another episode of The Brass Junkies.
You've been listening to The Brass Junkies on the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network. If you would like to hear the bonus episode featuring today's guest, please visit patreon.com/thebrassjunkies to learn how you can support the show and instantly access all bonus materials, as well as gain access to a special patron-only Facebook group. The Brass Junkies is produced by the amazing, wonderful, and truly inspirational Will Houchin. The theme music was composed by Fernando Dados and performed by Andrew Hitz and Lance LaDuke. We are at Pray for Jens on Twitter and Instagram and have a Facebook page at facebook.com/prayforjens. You can find out more about the Brass Junkies and all the other Pedal Note Media podcasts at pedalnotemedia.com. This has been a presentation of the Pedal Note Media Podcast Network.